having me over to interview.
Yeah, of course. So can you tell me what position that you're interested in?
Yeah, I would love to become the priest at First Anglican Parish.
Oh, awesome, yes. And I also wanted to let you know that at our parish, we allow women to be ordained, and then we also allow women to be married, because I noticed your engagement ring. So I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you, good to know.
Yeah, so let's get started with your interview. What can you tell me about the Anglican Church and kind of the history?
I know that the first parish started in the U.S. was established at Jamestown in 1607, and that the Anglican Church originated over in Europe when the Roman Catholic Church split into the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. And I know that Henry VIII was the reason for the split because he wanted to divorce his wife. And so the Anglican Church ultimately stemmed from Henry VIII.
Yeah, so actually most of that is true, but there is a misconception about Henry VIII. While he was considered the head of the Anglican Church, in the mid-1500s, many Anglican beliefs and theology actually originated with the reign of Elizabeth I.
Oh, so that's why we focus on uniformity of worship and the outward expression of liturgy rather than the inner consciousness of a person.
Yeah, exactly. When Elizabeth took the throne in 1558, the theology of the Church of England came to be known as the Elizabethan settlement, in which this order and uniformity were really important. Can you tell me anything about the Elizabethan settlement?
Yeah, the settlement had to do with issues of authority along with the uniformity we talked about, and it forbid unlicensed preaching, which restored the ecclesial authority to the crown.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know of any other key events in Anglican history?
I was going to mention the 39 Articles, which were established in 1563, and this further signified their independence of beliefs from the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, absolutely. We still actually follow those articles today as they are our formal doctrinal statements for the church. They include topics of the Trinity and Christ, which actually come from the first 4 ecumenical councils. They also include topics of authority, scripture, original sin, freedom, grace, justification, works, and predestination. Order and obedience and authority are really central for the doctrinal settlement.
Yeah, shortly after this time, Richard Hooker played a large role in the development of Anglican theology. He actually was considered the greatest theological defender in the Church of England, and his idea was that theology should be influenced by philosophical law and reasoning, and that's actually practiced in Anglican literature or liturgy today.
Yeah, speaking of liturgy, another key development in the Anglican Church is the Book of Common Prayer. What can you tell me about that?
So the Book of Common Prayer is considered a living liturgy. It was first developed in the mid-1500s, and it's had many revisions since then, the latest revision being in 1928. So overall, the Book of Common Prayer greatly emphasizes the importance of the Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the Anglican Church remembers Christ's sacrifice in the Eucharist weekly, and this is the heart of liturgical worship for Anglicanism.
Yeah, wow, you really know your stuff. Now that we've kind of gone over the history, I want to move towards more of the fundamental beliefs, so I'll kind of give an overview, and then you can kind of fill in the gaps if that works for you. Anglicanism overall has a large emphasis on liturgy, and specifically the 7 sacraments, with a major focus on the Eucharism and baptism. We follow the church calendar, and we're currently in the season of Epiphany. The Bible also must be read intelligently and as a whole, which is why we often read scripture publicly.
Yeah, William Palmer Ladd, he was one of the main reasons why in 1979 they made a revision for the Book of Common Prayer. He believed that the participation of the entire congregation in liturgy was essential, which I think is amazing. And he believes that persons, other than the priest, should be involved in reading the lessons, offering the prayer of the faithful, and distributing the elements.
Oh, good old Ladd. I do love that guy.
It's great. The 7 sacraments you were talking about earlier, they're baptism, Eucharist, confirmation, reconciliation, marriage, unctions, and orders. The Christian life is built upon baptism and the Eucharist. The Eucharist brings the real presence of Christ, not his natural body, obviously, we're not Catholic, but his spiritual presence. And baptism, for us, brings in the ministry of the church. Essentially, we are all ministers by virtue of baptism. We also believe in infant baptism here too.
Great, that's awesome. That's great information. Another thing to add to that is our statement of faith includes the Apostles' Creed, and then it also includes the Nicene Creed of 381.
Good old filioque.
Yes, I'm sure that you are already aware, but we do have a hierarchy of episcopacy here, which includes 3 different orders. There's the there's the bishop first, which is what I am, and then there's the priest, and then there's the deacons. All of which of these do not merely perform the functions of the church, they are the embodiment of a transcendent word.
So you're saying I have to be under a woman?
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Hannah. My secretary sure we'll reach out to you in a
Thanks
couple
for
weeks.
having me.